Hey everybody, before I start off, make sure you check the description box so you can click on the link so you can skip around to get to the sections you want to listen to. This is the second part in my Why I Love White Walls from Between the Barrett and Me series. I want to make sure that you go and check out the first video so you can understand why I'm doing all of this and the format of all these videos. Alright, so in this second part we're going to kind of continue from where the first video left off with this main riff kind of thing that I really like. It's my favorite riff in the song, I think. We're going to work on a fill that comes out in the song, and we're also going to work on, I think, the first death metal kind of riff that comes out in White Walls. So we're going to look at those three in depth, and stay tuned. So let's pick up where we left off. Okay, so this next riff is one of my favorites in White Walls, and it's mostly based off of three chords. At least that's the way I'm analyzing it. It's an E minor, A minor 7, D major kind of thing. The reason it's in 7/4, 2/4, 5/8, 4/4, a bunch of different time signatures is I thought it would be simpler to kind of dissect the sections from their chord progression kind of names and then use that to remember them. So that's why we have the 2/4 phrase out of the 7/4 and then a 5/8 phrase out of the second half of the 7/4. So we'll go more into detail later on with that. When we're looking at it, the E minor kind of riff is this. We got the A minor 7, so we got the A, the C, and the G. And then for the D, we have the D, A, and F with this G note kind of as a passing sound. And for the most part, that's kind of it, just variations on it and changing the time signature. We have the 7/4 part, which is... Then we have that 2/4 measure, which is the very beginning of the 7/4, except we remove an eighth note. Then the next measure is that 5/8 measure, which is the second half of the 7/4 measure. But again, we remove another eighth note. And it's kind of this push and pull kind of feel effect that happens. So for the most part, the repetition is mostly the same, with that 5/8 measure becoming a 4/4 measure. And because there's two guitar parts, there's two different sections. So we have, for one of the guitar parts, it ends like this. And for the other one, we have something that ends like this. Either way, we have that kind of chord progression on there. It's mostly focusing on chord tones, with the exception of the passing tone here and there. We have that passing tone, which is that G that I first mentioned in the 7/4 measure. And then towards the end, we have an E and a G that's kind of out of the D major chord, unless you want to look at it as a 9 or some kind of extension or substitution. But for the most part, this one's pretty straightforward. So let's move on to the next section. Okay, so the next little piece I want to look at is actually just a real short little fill. But the reason I want to look at it is because it's kind of all based on E, but we're moving the tonality, the quality of the chord kind of. So we're going from this E minor, E diminished, E major 7 kind of thing, all within two measures, and it's really playing around with the E, which is really cool. And it's something a lot of metal bands do. They all want to use the lowest string you got, so in this case we're using an E. So kind of moving around with the chord quality there. So the next part kind of goes something like this. But way faster. So what's happening there is we kind of have an E minor sound, then we have an E diminished sound, And then we have an E major 7 kind of thing. So in that walk down, we kind of have this. Kind of see that F sharp as a passing tone going into the next one, but you know, all within E minor or E major, but you know, we've been in E minor the whole time, so I'll consider it an E minor. So going into the next part, coming from that F sharp, we start on a G, then we go to a B flat, then another E, then another B flat. So we have an E diminished kind of thing. We start off on the third, the minor third, and then we got that flat 5 in there. So we got this guy in there. Then in this last measure, kind of just a chromatic walk down, so I'm kind of not really paying too much attention to that A. I feel like it's a chromatic walk from the previous measure, so we got the... So we got that G sharp, and we have a D sharp. So that would give us the E major 7. And, you know, kind of playing with harmonic minor and actually just switching tonalities too, because that G sharp is there. So it's not even harmonic minor, it's, you know, E major. So this little fill was pretty cool and just kind of, you know, a way to move from 3 very different tonalities all based on E. So let's look at another section. Okay, we're going to look at the last section in this video. So this is one of my favorite death metal-y moments in White Walls. I'm not sure why I'm really attracted to this riff in particular, but I really dig this one. And, you know, trying to make sense of it all, I ran into a few issues, you know, just kind of, there's a lot of ways to look at it. So this is just my interpretation of it all. So the way I see it is it's like an E minor major 7 kind of thing going into an E diminished, which is cool because we were kind of looking at something where the quality of the chord changes in the riff before. So then in the next measure we have this F sharp diminished kind of thing. I'm seeing it as that D sharp diminished in the second beat. I guess you don't really have to, you could see it as just kind of, you know, a non-chord tone or whatever because it's on the upbeat, it's not accented, but I put it in there just for fun. But again, the F sharp is still in the bass. And then I have the second half of that measure as an A minor chord. And if my bass analysis is correct, you know, we have an E and an A in the bass, so the F sharp is gone. So there is the common note of the A natural and the C natural and the F sharp diminished chord, so going back and forth between the two is pretty seamless. And in that transition to the A minor, it makes the transition to the C major chord a lot easier and a lot more logical, if you want to say that. Then we go to the B minor, which is also again in the key. Then we go into the E minor. Even though there's no third, we're going to consider it an E minor because everything else is kind of based off of that E minor tonality. Okay, so let's look at that first measure again. So we have this going on. So we have E and its octave, then we have G and a D sharp. So with that D sharp, kind of have this thing going on here. So we have that E minor major 7 chord going on. Then in the next half of that measure, we've got this guy, which is the G, B flat. Then we have passing tone, which is that A, and then going to a G again. So I feel like it's the E minor major 7 chord turning into an E diminished chord. So let's look into our next measure, which is that one that I'm kind of not really too sure about, but I'm seeing it as the F sharp diminished, the D sharp diminished, and the A minor. So the reason I'm saying that is we got the F sharp and the C natural. And then we got that D sharp and an A natural. So F sharp diminishes F sharp, A, and C natural. And that D sharp kind of isn't in that chord, so that's why I kind of put it on there. I'm kind of hearing it as, you know, a second chord in there. The F sharp is also in there, so I guess it depends on how you want to look at it. And then that second half of the measure I have as that A minor, which is, you know, A, C, and A. That B, again, as a passing tone in the exact same spot as it was in the measure before. So, going from that A minor, we can now go to C. The C also shares two notes, the E and the C. So, again, it's a seamless transition to go into a C. So, both parts are different here. So, one part kind of emphasizes the C, so we got this, you know, the C, G kind of thing, and the other part does this, which is the C, which is the E and a B. So I guess you can even see it as a C major 7. For the most part, I'm seeing it as a C. And then in the next part, we kind of go to a B minor kind of tonality thing. So we got this D, B, F sharp. And the other part just kind of harmonizes it. So we got this. So again on the F sharp, D, and A. So I don't know if you want to see it as, you know, a B minor 7. I'm just kind of looking at it as a B minor. And then we go into the E. So again, I'm kind of looking at it all as, you know, an E minor because I feel like that's our key. And that's one way to look at, you know, a real techie metal kind of riff and really kind of see the logic behind all the notes that are in there. Whoa, I almost totally forgot to include one of my favorite parts that's in one of my favorite parts. And it's in this riff. So in one of the repeats in this riff, instead of doing the chug rhythm, we do this sliding harmonic thing, you know, you know, it's fun to do and, you know, it's annoying when you're practicing it, you know, so people like it. So, you know, it's the same concept from, you know, your regular harmonics, but you just slide it around. So we do the cool, fun, annoying, yay! Alright, so thanks for checking out part 2 from Why I Love Between the Bear and Me White Walls. Please like this video and subscribe so that way you can check out the next one. And of course, once again, if you haven't checked out the first one, please do. It kind of gives you some insight into why I'm doing this whole thing and why I'm doing it in this manner. I'm not sure what the next part is going to be on, but it's definitely going to be in White Walls. I'm going to try to do another one. Please check me out on my other social media profiles, like my Facebook page and my Instagram, putting up pictures and random videos of what I work on and, you know, stuff like that. And if you like beer, check me out on Untapped. So, until part 3, see ya! Alright, so in this second part...